And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I am host of Beyond the Woodline. We started just a tad bit late tonight. Had a few technical issues, but we got them all set and under control. Um, Real quick, before we get started, like I always have to tell you guys, for those of you who don't know, I am part of the JRG, which stands for the Jevning Research Group. It's a Bigfoot research group headed up and founded by Mr. William Jevning. Great guy. That guy's got man nearly 50 years of experience in this field. He was friends with Renee DeHenden and John Green, who were like the pioneers in the Bigfoot research field. We've got teams in Washington, Oregon, West Virginia, Maryland, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, New York State, Minnesota, Michigan, Florida, Texas, and I'm thinking we got a new one in Mexico. So if you guys are interested in joining the team and helping out, just let me know. Shoot me an email at beyond.woodline@gmail.com. We will vet you and we will vet anyone we set you up with. We just don't like putting people together because sometimes there are some crazy people out there, unfortunately. Um, but we also tell you to research the researcher. Do your homework also, and we want everybody to vet each other. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody gets mad, too bad, right? Um, so yeah, if you guys are interested, just let me know. Beyond.woodline@gmail.com. We'll get you started. You don't have to get out into the field if you can't, or you're unable, or you just don't want to. That's fine. You can do your research from your laptop, computer, your cell phone, whatever, right? Yeah, just get in contact with me. Um, with all that being said, I have tonight with me Miss Chinelle, who has been on the show before from Elite Vixen Paranormal, and Vickie from Reflections of the Paranormal. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great. She's a veteran of the show basically. So
Yeah, yeah, doing
Right?
all right.
yeah, this is her second time in recent months, I guess.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem that long ago. Um, so real quick, why don't you tell us how you two guys met and how you guys teamed up?
Well, I used to be team lead on Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and we oversaw the Old Stone Jail in Franklin, Kentucky. They still do. And we used to put on paranormal meet and greets. And our very first paranormal meet and greet in 2020, I believe it was, uh, Miss Chanel and her lovely team of ladies, the Elite Vixens, they showed up and was one of our vendors. I believe y'all also spoke that night, if I'm
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yep, we
And
did.
then after that, they booked the Old Stone Jail, and I was there observing for the night. And me and Chanel hooked it up, and we ended up becoming one of the best friends in the field. And that's my sister.
Hmm.
Good, good. That's a good story. Yeah. Like I said, Chanel's been on the show before. She's a great gal.
Yeah,
Um, so I highly recommend her team too. If anybody's interested in having a team host an event, they're the team to go to. Um,
absolutely.
Speaking of events, I know you guys have a lot going on. If you guys want to talk a little bit about that real quick.
We
Yeah.
do.
You want to
So
tell Vic?
Chanel, how about I'll start it and you jump in? How about that?
Perfect.
So me and Chanel was talking one night, and we thought, you know what? Um, my old team, they still ran the meet and greets for several years. We hosted it for 4 years. Even when I left the team, I came back and helped. Well, this year they weren't doing it, so me and Chanel got to talking one night, and I told her, I said, you know what? I said, how about we host it? And she's like, I think that's a great idea. So then me and her contemplated for a few days, and then we called each other one morning, and we decided, you know what? Let's rock it. So then we got a hold of Billy, my old team founder, and we decided to set it up. Me and Chanel sat down, threw ideas around. Then we went to the Old Stone Jail, her and some of her female team members, and sat down, and we came up with our little plan, didn't we, sis?
Yeah, we did. And we decided that we wanted to kind of keep a very similar format. with the meet and greet, but make it kind of like almost like a mini paranormal convention with like having vendors and having speakers, and then of course we have an investigation afterwards. Vickie, we sold another ticket tonight, by the way. I didn't get to tell you
Yay!
that yet. So
Awesome.
we only have 8 more VIP tickets left.
Yeah.
Um,
That's with
so
the
yeah,
hunt.
with the hunt. Mm-hmm.
How many
Yeah.
vendor spots do we have left? Do you know? Do you remember?
I can tell you, we have 9 more vendor spots left.
Yeah. So
And where's this event?
go ahead.
It's in Franklin, Kentucky, at the Old Stone Jail.
Okay.
And so it's a 2-location actually investigation. So not only do we get to investigate the Simpson County Historical Society, we also get to investigate the Old Stone Jail, which of course, like Vickie said, she used to be the home team there. I've been there multiple times.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite locations to go.
Yep.
And do you guys have anything else lined up after this one?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a private investigation this weekend together. We actually have 3 weekends together, Chinelle and I do, for investigations at different areas. But Chinelle has a big event. Hers is coming up. Chinelle, do you want to talk about your big event coming up for the women?
Yeah. So July 6th at the Thomas House Hotel in Red William Springs, Tennessee, we're hosting what's called the Women in Paranormal Retreat. And I only have like 4 tickets left for that. And so what it is, we're just getting a whole bunch of women together in the field. And we're going to have a good night of fellowship and empowerment and investigating. And, you know, we've jokingly called it like the paranormal pajama party or a paranormal sleepover. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a really, really, really good event. And all of the proceeds for that event actually go to benefit the Safe Haven Women's Shelter in Nashville, Tennessee. Or I'm sorry, Family Shelter, not Women's Shelter. Family Shelter, which is a domestic violence shelter. And so we're looking to. Oh, we lost Vickie.
Oh, she said the heck with it.
Yeah.
I already promoted my stuff. I'm gone.
Right. She's like, I'm done now. But yeah, so we're hoping we should be able to donate right around $1,000 to the shelter.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And so every Christmas we do like our Vixens Give Back event.
Right.
And last year in December, and I might have talked about this when I was on the show the last time.
Talk about it again.
So we're benefiting the same shelter, but instead of like doing like Christmas presents and all that like we did before, it's, you know, like I said, just going to be like a cash donation directly to the shelter. So it's pretty awesome.
Hey,
Welcome
we got
back.
a new guest. We have a new guest.
I'm sorry. My dog was wanting to. I had to let my dog out, and then I thought, well, I'll turn the camera off, and then it just kicked me out.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. You spoke about that event. That's really cool of you guys to do that. I wish a lot more people would do stuff like that. So,
yeah. We believe that like when you have a platform, you know, you should be able to, you know, use it for good and things like that. So definitely, you know, supporting those in the community, especially those that are like the highest needs, you know, like that just goes, you know, you got to do things like that. Got to give back.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good for you guys. I'm glad you guys are doing that. I think that that shows a lot about your character, and you know, when you do stuff like that, I think it comes back, you know, as positive for you.
Yeah.
And this young lady says, awesome. So yeah, I agree with that. So, just real quick, Vickie, I was checking out some of your TikToks, and you've got some really, really cool evidence. You got some really cool evidence, and some of the best stuff is from Octagon Hall. I think there was like 4 videos from that.
Yeah,
really cool
it is.
stuff
I've been blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, what made you decide this is the path I want to take? You know, doing some paranormal investigating.
Well, as a child, I lived in a house that had activity, like most of us do. with that being said, there was always things that I wanted answers to. What was it that I saw as a child? How can I go about finding out these answers? So as I become an adult, I still had all these questions. I lived in multiple houses. I'm sensitive, so, I've always seen and heard things, and I just had more and more answers. I didn't realize until years ago that there was actually a community. Like, you saw it on TV, but we all know how TV is, right?
Right.
But I didn't realize that there was actually a paranormal community until the 2000s. And then I was like, I got invited to go on an investigation, and I was like, heck yeah, let's do this. So then I go on this investigation, and one of the first investigations I go on, I get a shadow looking over my shoulder. There's EVPs. The EVPs, I think that is what really hooked me. Like, when you have a recorder and there's only two women in the room, but you have a male voice come across that recorder.
Right.
Yeah, that was it. I was hooked. I needed more answers. I had to know more and more. Because, let's face it, I've said for years, none of us knows, no matter how much research we do, no matter how many hours and hours of investigating we do and research, none of us knows the full true answer, because none of us is dead and gone and on the other side. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you got some of the best evidence. And there was one that I saw. I guess it was a shadow, and it said filmed by Billy Wilkerson.
Okay, yeah. So that is one of the pieces. That's me with blonde hair at the time. I had blonde hair. And we went, that was in the old Moore County Jail down in Lynchburg, Tennessee. And I had walked upstairs. I was waiting for people to come up, right? And it's known that the man there has a thing for blonde-headed women. And so I went on upstairs, and I'm looking down at my equipment, and like, I could feel it come up behind me. It was almost that fight or flight. And then I had those chill bumps go right up my spine. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely not alone. And I thought, you never want to go somewhere alone. Like, typically, you really don't. It's a safety thing, right? But I did not know that Billy had the DVR system running at this time, because we were literally just getting everything set up, getting ready to start. And so I'm like, I get this feeling, I know something's standing behind me. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go downstairs until I got somebody else up here so we can get this documented in case something happens. Well, it was already documented. I just was unaware that the DVR system was already going. And so then we get home that night. I get a message the next morning. I get this little piece of a clip with a video. And sure enough, you can see this shadow, and it comes through the bars, and it looks over my shoulder. Like, I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy. Does anybody know about the man? Is he like? So is that where he's at? You know what I'm saying? Like, wherever that room.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's he is.
Cell block
That's
number
his
4.
specific.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his specific jail block or cell block that he loves, and he stays in there. And it's widely known. And he was an inmate there at one time.
Okay.
Like, everybody over the years, and this has been years ago, but everybody over the years have gotten names. I'm gonna have to let my dog in. Has gotten names and everything else. Chinelle, can you tell him any more about that man in that cell?
Yeah, I can tell you about that man in that cell. So she's right when he says that he likes women, but he doesn't like women in his cell.
Really?
Yeah, so I've only ever been attacked one time on an investigation, and that man is the one that attacked me on an investigation in his cell block number 4.
Yeah.
So
A different investigation than the one Vickie went on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a nickname for him, Mr. Nasty. They've recently figured out who he is, or who they think he is.
Thanks.
But I can't remember because it's been a minute since I've been there.
Yeah, it's been several years.
Yeah,
Although
'cause
we
the last
are
time-
going back May
We
3rd.
are.
Me
May
and
3rd.
Chinelle.
Yep, me, my team, you, and then Tennessee Paranormal.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, he's not so nice. He's called, like, name called. I mean, not even appropriate for a PG, rated
Yeah.
PG TV or a podcast.
Right.
But yeah, he name calls, he threatens, and like I said, that's the only time I've ever been attacked by a spirit was by him because I was
So what
kind of
happened
provoking him.
in this? Oh, you provoked him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So I broke my own rules
Yeah.
because we have a no provocation rule, right?
Right.
Well, me and my partner Samantha, we own Elite Vixen together, and we both were in that cell block number 4, and we're sitting there, and like I was starting to get like a little I was feeling a little feisty, and I shouldn't have been. And Sam, I remember Sam looking at me and be like, I feel like the need to provoke. And I was like, I just feel, whatever. So I'm in there and I'm just like, what do you think about these women being in your cell? Kind of taunting and being a little feisty. And next thing I know, I couldn't breathe. And Samantha had actually looked at me and she was like, are you? Because, like when you investigate, like really with your people, like they can tell when something's wrong with you. Like Vickie and I can do that when we investigate together. And Samantha and I have the same type of, relationship and same type of bond. And so she's like, you okay, bro? And I'm like, I'm fine. About a minute or so later is when like I really could not breathe. And it was like, I gotta get out. And so we had to get me out of the jail. And this is years ago. I think it was 2019, maybe 2020, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Something like that, yeah. And had to get me out of the jail. And I didn't go back. Like when we finished the investigation that night, I went over to like the jailer's residence, but I didn't go back to the men's cells again that night. Now, since I've been back, I have been back there. But yeah, that night I didn't go back into the men's cells. It took me like a full hour and a half to actually like be able to completely regain my breath and properly breathe again. And it was real funny because like I remember hearing a voice telling me to cough. Like in my head, it was like cough. And then I coughed, and then I was able to reset my, like re-regulate my breathing. But yeah. Mr. Nasty, jail cell number 4, 10 out of 10, don't recommend.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. So about that night, right? So actually it was the first time we went, because that was the second time when we got that video. But the first time we went was my very first investigation. And so I'm there with all new people, right? And I become a part of that team. But that night, like I'd been upstairs, we had camera that was sitting up on the tripod. It came flying down. Ronnie, that used to own it, like he was with me when it happened. I go running to investigate. I turn around, nobody's with me. I'm like, really? But so it was funny is because like things kept escalating, right? So we all go for just a quick break, get us a bite to eat, a little drink, and we're in there, and all of a sudden I get pinched on my butt. And the founder's wife is sitting down on this little area, and she's sitting down beside me. Now, mind you, this is my first investigation ever. And I looked down at her. I said, did you just pinch my butt? She's like, no, I ain't touching your butt. I don't know you like that. Sure enough, though, like it was on the side of my butt is what I got to say. And when I looked, it was red. By the time we left there that night, it was a bruise. And I had that bruise for a week.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Nasty. He had a thing for women, but it's like, I love the jail, but as a woman, you really do have to be careful because he does get handsy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard of stuff like that before. With male ghosts or entities or spirits, that they'll do stuff like that. And yeah, so I that's really kind of fascinating in a lot of ways. It's
Yeah.
You know, I wonder what goes through their mind or what's their thought process. Like, hey, I'm gonna do it. I can't get caught, right?
Right.
Right.
They
I
can't be
feel
locked up.
Yeah.
right. I feel like that it has more to do with like the time period that they lived in,
Mm,
because like during that time, like things like that were not frowned
normal.
upon like they are today. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was
you
the
could
good old
basically,
days. The good old days. Yeah.
yeah.
I listen to you. Come in there, Joe. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I think it's the time period and just the person that they are, right? And I
Hmm.
yeah.
don't think that's going to change for them anyway. Um, yeah. I think that. I think that's good evidence. I think if that makes sense. You know.
It is.
Yeah. It I don't know. Maybe unfortunate, but it's good solid evidence.
Yeah.
You had another one where there was a mirror, right? And there
Yes.
was a reflection in that mirror, and that just seems very appropriate for the name of your group, right?
That picture is actually how I come up with the name.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yes. Okay, so that was my actual very first piece of evidence that I caught in a photo.
Okay.
Okay. That was, I want to say that was back in 2019 or 2020. So I was excited because, again, like, I don't know what it is, but whenever I'm alone and I get that downtime, like, I always show spirits respect, right? And so I talk with the spirits, whether I'm going to the bathroom or whether I'm just walking around. And everybody, it was one of the team members' uh, birthday that night.
Mhm.
And we were at the Lotes house in Franklin, Tennessee. And so everybody was going downstairs. We were going to cut cake, sing happy birthday, get a piece of cake, and then go back to investigating. So while everybody's going downstairs, I just felt like I wasn't alone, right? I just felt like there was something watching me. So I start going around the room, taking photos in increments of 3, which is what you want to do. Okay. All right. So I start taking these photos. The only thing that's over there in that area, there's a grandfather clock. There is the front door that you can see in that photo. There's a dark, looks like a dark wall, but that's actually a grandfather clock, and it's like that dark walnut color, right? And then there's the front patio doors that go. This is the second floor, mind you, so it goes to the balcony. And there's that photo, but in the mirror itself, you see this little girl, and she's about 11, 12 years old, and she's wearing a blue dress. And it's like an older time period dress, that you would see because the people that lived there were actually farmers. And he was like he'd done a lot of woodworking, right? And so it kind of matches that area, that time frame, and the way you know he would have lived a modest life. Like, it wasn't overly grand Southern Belle style dress. It wasn't like that. It was a very simple um, timepiece for that age. I mean, and it's just remarkable. Like, you can see the blue, you can see her arm, you can see how it goes down. You can kind of see the bottom of her legs, and I love that piece. I love that piece.
So when did you discover that picture? Like actually look at it and say, "Hey, there's something here."
The next morning.
Okay.
The next morning. So usually, if I go home, uh, either I lay in bed and then I start doing my evidence review, or
Mhm.
it's the next morning that I start going through my stuff.
Right.
So, and then on top of that, so then, like, I love Mr. Thomas, and Mr. Thomas, he runs the Lotes house. So he's the overseer down at the Lotes house. So, and me and Mr. Thomas have become really, really good friends. I love that man to death. He is so smart, and his speech is impeccable. Okay, so I call Mr. Thomas up, and I'm like, Thomas, I was like, you're never gonna guess what I got. And he's like, what you got, Vickie? I was like, I have captured a little girl in the mirror. He's like, have you really? I was like, yes. I said, will you please do me the favor? And he said, what's that? I said, can I come down there and try and debunk my photo? He's like, well, normally, this is when me and him was first getting to know each other. Normally, they don't allow photography during the day for their day tours and stuff like that. Okay. A lot of these museum type houses don't allow it. And he was like, I tell you what, Vickie, he's like, you come down. He said, I'll allow you to come in before my tours get started and allow you to go in here and take photos, see if you could debunk it, see if you can. Because a true investigator, no matter how excited they are, even if they capture something and I can see it, I still want to try and see if I can debunk it. Because if I can debunk it, then it ain't worth nothing. But if I can go through there and I can't come up with a plausible explanation to why I captured this, then it's interesting, So I went down there, took all kinds of photos, never could recreate it, did like 20 different, hey, Jack, 20 different angle photos. I mean, I bet I had 150 photos. I'm not even going to lie by the time I left. And I could never recreate it. Never.
Yeah. Do you know if anyone else ever captured a little girl, or is there a story about a little girl there?
So there is several stories. Okay, so at that time, that was a part of the Civil War. And it was either 8,000 or 10,000. I get them and Octagon Hall mixed up because one's 10,000 and one's 8,000. I want to thank the battle in Franklin. I think it was 10,000 soldiers, and the one in Octagon in Franklin, Kentucky, was 8,000.
Yeah,
and
Octagon was 8,000.
Yeah. So, thank you, sis. So, they had several different children. Okay. There were a set of twins. They passed away. They were young, though. So, but they had 3 or 4 older daughters besides the twins. And there was one, and I'm pretty sure her name was Matilda. And I'm thinking this quite possibly could be Matilda. Matilda actually did grow older, but she was the one that actually come back after she went away. She actually come back and stayed and lived in the house for the greatest length of time. She had it after the parents had passed away, right? She was also the one that she would do drawings. She went over to Europe, and even the Queen of England, like, she had her to draw, I think it was a picture of her dogs, and she painted this huge picture. So because of some of the older photos of Matilda, like her frame and her picture of what I capture kind of matches some of her childhood photos. And the fact that she did gravitate and come back and live there. And actually her husband moved in and lived there with her. I'm pretty sure that's who it ended up being. And she just come back at maybe, her favorite childhood time frame,
Right.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very good possibility of that. Then you had the other one, that's the Scotts County.
Scott County Jail.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Yes,
that was
my
really
girls, Chris and Miranda, they run that jail. They're phenomenal women.
Yeah, anyone watching, if you guys want to look at some good evidence, man, go check out her TikTok. She's got some really good stuff up there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny story. Like, I got 3 full sentences, and let me tell you.
Yeah. So those EVPs, right? They're great.
Yeah, straight EVPs off the recorder, and I'll tell you, that's another funny story. And it's always when I'm alone, and it's always when it's an awkward moment or something, right? So, the ladies was upstairs. We were all on the 2nd floor. We were doing an investigation that night. I told them, I was like, ladies, I need to go use the bathroom. I was like, I'm going to go downstairs. Well, the only bathroom that's there, it's in the drunk tank, right? So I carry a recorder with me everywhere I go. And I turn that sucker on no matter where I'm at, whether it's bathroom, anything, because you never know when you're going to capture something, right? And so I go in the bathroom and I'm like, I'm addressing the spirits. I'm like, hey, if anybody's in here, I need to use the bathroom. I'm fixing Papa Squat. Y'all want to come talk to me? I'm going to lay this device down. Come in here, chit chat with me while I take care of business. So I lay the recorder down and use in the bathroom. Thankfully, the recorder part wasn't when I was peeing. You know, like it was after the fact, and like I think like I washed my hands. Yeah, so like, and it was so cool. So it was funny is the next morning, I'm going through my recorder and I'm like, holy crap. Like, I just heard a sentence. Here comes another sentence. I'm like, holy crap, I've got 2 sentences. Here comes the third one. I'm like, there ain't no way. Ain't nobody going to believe this. Nobody's going to believe I got 3 full sentences. I call Chris. I call Miranda. Miranda was busy, so I got a hold of Chris. Chris answered his phone. I'm like, girl, you have got to hear what I've got. I said, fix to send it to you. I said, I'm so excited about the bus. She's like, okay, well, send me what you got. So then I sent it to her. She's like, holy crap, Vickie. I'm like, I know. She's like, can I do something with this? I said, girl, it's yours. Do whatever you want. So she actually clipped it and edited it and made the video to it and put the Scott County photos in for it. And then she sent it back to me and she's like, do you mind if I share it? I said, honey, it's yours. You share it. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm tickled to death. And so I posted a video and they, you know, still to this day, like that was back in 2022. It was in the beginning. It was in February 2022 when I captured that. And so as far as I know, they still talk about it. They still share the evidence. I'm still, it's over the moon. Like it's my favorite EVP captures still today.
Right. Yeah. It was great. It was pretty cool. I was pretty impressed when I heard it.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten like a full sentence, Chinelle?
I haven't, not that I know of. I mean, I probably have.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, one of the worst things about my team is that we are terrible about going through evidence.
Yeah, I think we talked about this too.
Yeah, like, so I'm sure that I have sitting on my many, many, many terabytes full of evidence that I need to go through. But like, I just really don't have time to do that. So one day when like I win the lottery, I'll go through it all. But for now,
I think as a matter of fact, we were talking about that, and I actually had all my little SD cards out on my table when we were talking about that. And I'm like, look here, I've got this. I had like 6 or 7 SD cards that I haven't even gone through.
Yeah,
like
so many.
All my Bigfoot stuff. Yeah, it's funny.
Hey, we're all bad about that. Yeah. I've got hundreds of EVPs that I've still yet. I've got probably a whole year's worth that I'm still behind on that I haven't gotten to go. I haven't went through any of them. Yeah. So
real quick, guys.
Yeah.
I got so many questions, but so not that much time. I know, like I said, we got stuff to do. So let's talk real quick about. You know what? What kind of techniques do you guys like to use when you're out?
Go ahead.
My favorite is, well, I have 2 that are my favorite. The Estes method, which I'm sure Vickie's probably, because she's phenomenal. Like Vickie's amazing at the Estes method. The other one that I love is live EVP. Like I love to pop the headphones in and plug the voice recorder in and like just listen to everything amplified. That is one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. And I agree. Chinelle knows me like a book. Estes, I love an Estes. I kind of do it a little bit different, and I try and I try and monitor. I do a lot of novice hunt oversee, like Chinelle and them, or just different group that's never really experienced a lot, and I try to help them and teach them in different ways. But like the Estes method, when I go under, I've got like hound dog ears, right? So tones and pitches, and it really become like that when I become pregnant. I couldn't stand, it's like, that whole smells crazy, right? And the first time I ever got pregnant, like my hearing went crazy. And so tones and pitches, they irritate me. So with that, it's like you pay attention, and when you do an Estes method, you really want to pay attention to those repetitive tones and voices that come through. But then when you call them out, you want to say, male said this, female said this, child said this. And if you can distinguish whether it's a boy or a girl, then you'll say boy said this, girl said this. And here's the reason why. Because when you sit there and you're like, okay, well, what's your name? And you're the person asking the question. And then the person's under Estes and they say, John, right? But you don't know if it's a male or female that's answering, right? But what if it's a female and she says the name John? Well, then you know that you're conversating with a female spirit and she's telling you the other spirit in the room's name is John, and it's not a male coming through saying my name's John. So it gives you the insight of actually which spirit you're communicating, which spirit's answering you. And that's the reason why it's like easier and better for someone who's either taking notes or they're recording it to try and piece it together to get your research after it's done. Then, of course, my other one is the standard recorder. I love a recorder. Nothing beats a recorder. It's like I said, you got two women in a room, you get a male voice, or you got two men in a room, you get a female voice. There's no debunking that. I mean, there's just not.
Yeah. My son accidentally, well, I would say accidentally, he went without telling me that he was going into one of the rooms of our house I used to live in to do an EVP session, and he came out of the room and he was white as a ghost. He was like, Dad, you got to hear this. And he plays it, and you hear him at the time. He's a young teenager. I mean, he may have been 12 or 13, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So his voice is still very young, and he's like, you can hear him say, "Is there anybody here with us?" And then you hear a man's voice go, "Yeah." Yeah.
I bet he was white as a ghost.
Oh yeah, it was funny. It was hilarious, man. But
Yeah.
I told him not to do that anymore. But
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
But people think, the spirits they're not stuck in one location.
Yeah.
They're, they're everywhere and they're coming and going. And if they're in a location and they stay in a location, it's because they choose to stay there.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I actually lived outside of San Antonio for a couple of years,
Oh.
and I'm convinced my dad was with me there, and then he came back here to Houston when I moved back.
Oh yeah, your loved ones follow you. They
Yeah.
come. They're with you at all given time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's made his round to all, my brother and my sister, and my mom's house even.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think they go wherever they want to go, and
They do.
even here in this place, my new little place, I've had some activity here, and I think it was one time it was my dad, because I smelled juicy fruit one day when I came in, and that was the kind of gum he used to chew, was juicy fruit.
Yeah.
They always give little hints like that let you know that that's them.
Yeah, that's what I started to say. Yeah, they do. Whether it's a pipe, a certain flavor of tobacco, butterflies, hummingbirds, cardinals, they always give you just that little bit. And it's when you know it's them is when you have that instant, that's my mom.
Right.
That's my dad. When you have that instant thought, that right there, that's your gut instinct. That's your own sensitivities, your own abilities telling you, what spirit's around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's intuitive.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right about that, and I think at least in my situation, he always came around when I needed him. So yeah, I think he knew that. He knew I needed him around. He came around just to make sure that I was okay and let me know everything was going to be all right.
Absolutely.
Well, cool, man. I know it was a short little show, but I'm glad you guys came on. I'm glad we did this. And real quick, why don't you guys give out your social medias, your channels, your TikToks, whatever you guys want to give out.
Okay, Chinelle.
All right. Yep. So Elite Vixen Paranormal, you can really find us anywhere if you just search Elite Vixen Paranormal. You can Google us. Our handle is the same on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Google, all of it. So we're pretty easy to find.
Same. I'm Reflections of the Paranormal. I'm on Facebook, TikTok. I do have some YouTube. Just a few shorts. I actually need to work on that more. But I am.
yeah, everybody, you guys need to find them. You won't be disappointed with their content, and they're great people too. So
Thank
you guys
you.
check them out, man. You really like them. And if you guys have anything you want me to promote for you guys, man, tag me in it or just put it on my timeline, whatever you guys want to do.
Okay.
I know you, at least Chanel's in my other group, right? The Beyond the
Yeah, I am.
Woodline fan page. Yeah, post whatever you want to post in there and share everything you've got. I'll be happy to promote it and for you guys.
I
Awesome.
do
Thank
want to
you.
say, I do want to say one thing before we get off, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we also have a Paracon coming up that we're guest speakers at. October 12th. It's going to be in Mayfield, Kentucky. So if y'all want to jump on either the Vixens page or my page, you will see our paranormal meet and greet where you can buy the tickets. The day it's on May the 18th, Franklin, Kentucky. You will also see Chinelle's Women of the Paranormal event. That way you can purchase your tickets there. And then you'll also see the Haunted Maysville Fairgrounds Paracon. And that's put on with Ken 10 and K2 Paranormal that's doing that. And it's in Mayfield, Kentucky. And y'all come, y'all see me and Chinelle there along with some other phenomenal speakers. Um, just jump to either one of our pages and you can find all those located there. Joe, thank you so much for inviting us on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you guys are great, man. I know even though it was short, the time still went by fast. You guys are great guests. You guys are awesome. You guys go out and support these ladies. Like I said, they're great people, and you won't be disappointed with their content. So go support them.
Thank you.
And yeah, you guys have anything else you want to say other than good night?
No, thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I still want to get more of your team on too. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, yeah, I'd love to talk to the rest of your team. Um, so we'll definitely be in touch. And like I said, anything I can do for you guys, just hit me up.
All right.
Thank
Thank
And
you.
you.
everybody in the chat, thanks a lot for participating. You guys are great as always. And yeah, we'll be in touch. And I have a show next Monday. Don't ask me who. I never remember. So next Monday I have a show. All right, guys. You guys have a great night.
All right, you too.
Thank you.